reason, at least I think ostensibly, that I was asked to comment here was in substantial part because I was, let's see, I'll be on my first year on the council when we discovered this problem. And while I can't say that I single-handedly discovered it and rooted it all out, I think there was some events that transpired at that time which I think I can comment. Now, staff's report, in my judgment, actually identifies what I would, in retrospect, believe are probably some of the significant problems that contributed to the overall delay. Now, historically, as we see, the audits have always been, well, not always, but many times have been late in the past. But obviously in 2000, the 2004 audit was pushed back a considerable amount of time. Now, I know to some degree we've discussed this in various references over many meetings previously, but there are a number of factors, I think, that are identified in the staff report that probably made a delay a much bigger delay. How much and to what degree, I think, is probably a certain amount of speculation associated with that. At the time we discovered that the audit work was not being done as was expected, you know, we were on, I think, our third city manager in a period of 6 or 8 months or something like that. Tammy Gates had left at the end of 2004. Don Hopper was there for the interim. John Gillison came in 2005. Another factor, I think, that looking back on it probably does contribute substantially to this is that with the 2004 audit, we were supposed to be doing GASB 34. And I tried to look back a little bit on this, and some of it wasn't, you know, goes back a number of years, and so I can't speak to it with any personal knowledge, but one of the challenges that we have apparently historically had, it seems, in this city is maintaining good records with respect to fixed assets. And that has been highlighted for a period of time. And near as I can tell, some of our fixed asset history goes back to, the way we maintain those records went back to something like 1982, where I saw one reference to the fact that certain fixed assets were maintained on a historical cost basis that wasn't regularly updated, and we probably, at a certain level of informality, I would guess over those years, really didn't know how. This became more pronounced, I think, when GASB 34 introduced itself as a mandatory component, at least according to Government Accounting Standing Board's procedures, for 2004. What struck me, though, was that there had been in place, I found out, I wasn't on the council then, but there had been in place in 2003 an adoption of new accounting policies. And those accounting policies actually provided for new accounting policies in the city to account for not only GASB 34, but GASB 37 and GASB 38. GASB 34, however, is sort of the big enchilada, and I say that because, as the finance director showed me in her office, GASB 34, despite being a single accounting standard, just one of many, it's number 34, obviously, and there are more than that, has its own book. Just for that one accounting standard, it's probably a couple of inches thick. So the standards, I think, were shall we say, difficult to probably administer. I do recall back around when the 2003 audit was approved. Yeah, well, not approved, they're sort of a receive and file thing. They are what they are. But when the 2004, the audit for the fiscal year 2003 was received in 2004, one of the things that people were given some assurance about, and I think was even asked at the time, was that the fixed asset history would be addressed more thoroughly in subsequent audits, particularly because GASB 34 sort of required us to get it together. GASB 34 added some difficult things that are that were problematic for old cities, and that is you don't just value your equipment and things of that sort. You actually have to value your streets, your sewers, and things of that sort, and things like that, which had, of course, no purchase price associated with them, which is the way we had historically maintained records on capital assets. Now, I realize that's a lot of complication. I can't say I've appreciated all of that in those kinds of nuances, and over time it takes even more research, and every time I look at it, it strikes me as to what the complicating factors are.